I grew up in a small, quaint village, place where everyone knew everyone. My childhood was spent running through fields, climbing trees, and listening to the elders' stories by the fire. However, my life took a turn when I was sent away to a foster home to pursue my education. Despite my repeated requests to return, my foster parents always had an excuse, a reason, why I could not go back. It was peculiar, but I harbored no ill will towards them. They treated me well and provided for me. Still, the mystery lingered in the back of my mind. Years passed and I grew up, eventually moving out of my foster parents' home. One long weekend, I decided it was time to revisit my roots. No longer restrained by my foster parents, I got into my car, sent them a message about my journey, and started driving towards the village of my childhood. Excitement and anticipation filled me as memories flooded my mind. What I would say to my parents, the places I wanted to revisit, and the familiar faces I hoped to see again. Hours later, as the sky darkened, I arrived at my destination. The village was just as I remembered, seemingly frozen in time. The old candy and provision shops still stood, their neon signs flickering and casting an eerie glow on the deserted streets. It was quiet, with only the street lamps and signs illuminating the darkness. I parked beside an inn and walked in, hoping to stay the night and find my old house the next day. An old man greeted me warmly, commenting on how rare it was to have guests. After paying for the night and dinner, I settled into my room. The old man brought me a hearty meal, and mentioned again how few people visited the village nowadays. Exhausted from the long drive, I fell asleep quickly, my mind swirling with thoughts of what awaited me. I woke up feeling refreshed, took a shower, and prepared to leave. The innkeeper wished me well, adding a strange piece of advice.
Be careful on your way, and never enter a house with a red cross on its door.
I found this odd but dismissed it, thinking it might just be a marker for abandoned houses or renovation projects. As I drove deeper into the village, the streets were empty, and many houses looked abandoned. I reasoned that most people had probably moved to the cities for better prospects. Soon, I reached my old house. To my surprise, there was a red cross on the door. Remembering the innkeeper's warning, I hesitated, but then decided to investigate. I got out of the car, approached the door, and knocked. No response. I circled to the back door and found another red cross. Again, I knocked but received no answer. As I walked into the backyard, I noticed the grass was neatly trimmed. Everything seemed well maintained, as if someone was still living there. The realization struck me that all the buildings were in good condition, yet each had a red cross on the door. I walked to the neighbor's house and saw the potted plants were healthy and green, tended with care. The trees at another neighbor's house bore fruit. I cautiously peered into the window of my old house, expecting dust and decay. Instead, I saw a perfectly kept home. Snacks were in jars, dishes were on the rack, and the refrigerator's light was on. My heart leapt with hope. I knocked harder on the front door, calling out if anyone was home. Mustering my courage, I turned the doorknob and found it unlocked. I opened the door to see my parents sitting in the living room, their backs to me, staring at a blank television screen. They turned slowly, smiles fixed on their faces. They looked exactly as I remembered them, untouched by time. My heart pounded as a younger version of myself, the boy I was when I left, appeared from behind a wall, smiling the same unsettling smile. They approached me, their silence oppressive. Panic seized me. I bolted out of the house, slamming the door behind me. I turned around and noticed faces of my neighbors pressing against the windows, looking at me with the same eerie smile that everyone has. The doors started to rattle, accompanied by violent pounding. The once eerie silence was broken by the sounds of violent knocking on the doors enveloping the village. I jumped into my car and sped away, glancing back to see the old innkeeper waving goodbye with that same eerie smile. As I drove out of the village, my phone buzzed with missed calls and messages, the signal finally returning. Among the notifications was a message from my foster parents.
What do you mean? This is your home. Where are you going?
If you have enjoyed the content so far, consider leaving a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and continue making videos that keeps you awake at night. With that, we will see you on the next video.